So what's this longer episode going to be about? Well, I don't think it's going to be about that long, but it is important. And I think I know you. You're the type of person who won't let their mates down. You probably do anything that rather than let somebody down, because that's the type of person you are. I think we've all done it, but I know you do it. You've rushed around. You've changed things. You even made a few sacrifices probably and made a point that you could be counted on. You see, I think it's really good that you have that value that you could be supportive and you're countable. You can be counted on. That's a great value to have. I want you to just remember those times now. If you just think about it now, remembering those times when you have looked to just help others. You're not going to let them down. It could be that you want to make sure that you could be dependable or depended on. You enthuse, you help motivate by being there. Remember it? Remember those times? I know there's more than one, so just have a think back for the moment right now while I'm speaking of times in the past where you've busted a gut to make sure that you've supported other people. Yeah? Because we've all done it, but I know you have. Maybe your best friend. No, not that one. It's that other best friend. The other best friend out there. If they asked you to do something, they needed help, they needed support, you'd be there, wouldn't you? You'd be there like a bloody rat up a drain pipe. Not a nice term, but you would, wouldn't you? You'd be there. A family member. You'd be there. Even the one that you don't sometimes like. Sometimes we have families that don't suddenly gel. And even that one. If push came to shove, you'd be there. Absolutely, you'd be there. Because you could be counted on. And it's a little bit like taking that one little step further. We call it like a gym buddy or a diving buddy, someone you can count on, someone who's always there. And with a gym buddy, you're also accountable to them in the way that you have to turn up. You do your bit for them while they're there. And it's like a mutual accountability, but it's all about accountability to that person. Being that safe pair of hands, dependable. It's nice, isn't it? Nice to think that you do that. And I'm pleased that you do it. It's all such an excellent thing to do. So what are you going to say next, Cluffy? Because I know there's a but coming. And it's not a but, but it is it's a but. But the thing is, these are all outside things. They're being dependable to people outside you. They're in your environment, your external environment. What about the team of one? Or if you've changed that one to the team of I. How many times have you put others in front of yourself, over yourselves? And you see, that's the most I can't even say the bloody word, selfish thing that you can do. No, Cluffy, you can't. How can you be so selfish if I'm doing this for other people? Because you're not looking after yourself first. You look after yourself first, you are healthy, you're happy. You've really got yourself, you got your shit together. And they get to be around you when you've got your shit together. Who would you rather be around? Someone who's got the shit together or somebody who hasn't? Yeah, they could be trying and you go, oh, they try so much, but they really need help themselves. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to do that external stuff because it's that selfless service, being accountable to other people in that way. You're really being accountable to yourself because you're living to that value of helping others. But I want you to think. I want you to think of yourself a little bit. And I want to think of your values. And you can say, yeah, Cluffy, we've talked about values, the values of why is work important to me? Why is relationships important to me? And we've done all of that. Yeah. Why is work out there? What's important to me about work out there? What's important about relationships, people out there? What's important about my family out there? All, again, it's external values. I'm talking about the team of I, the team of one, you, inside. What are your life values? What are the most important things to you that are your identity? Do you know? Most people don't. Most people don't. I did mine a long time ago, and I still think about should I change them, but have they changed, or do they still feel, or do they still feel strong? Do they still feel me? And they do. Mine are being truthful. That's number 3. Being loyal. That's number 2. And being totally trustworthy. That's number 1. And there's love in there as well, but they're the 3 that I want to be able to count on myself to live a life with those values. Because if I live a life with those values, when I share them with other people by actions, my behaviours, my accountability, it's going to come through stronger than ever. When people know that they can trust you and you're loyal, you're truthful. So what are yours? Do you know your top 3? How'd you do it? Just as we did it before. But just think now, what's really important to me in life? What's really important? And just get a piece of paper. Throw them down on a piece of paper. Ask again, what else? What else is important to me? And write that down. What else is important to me in my life? What else? What else? What else? Get at least 7. Maybe 10. And we're not going to use them all. We're not going to use them all, but it's good to have. But you see, what tends to happen is the first 2 or 3 that come to mind are the ones which are up there, up in the front. They're the more conscious. But as you start to empty whatever you're emptying, because you're emptying something outside you or inside you out onto the piece of paper, you start to get more unconscious values that you maybe were aware of, but you're not, or you weren't quite. And when you get them, you just go, do you know what? If I could only have one of these, which would be the most important one to me? And just look at that paper and notice how it just jumps out of the page at you. Write that down on a separate piece of paper. Number 1. Cross it off of that other list. And then go, well, out of those others, maybe those other 9, what's the most important one? If I could only have one of those 9 remaining things that are important to me, what is the most strongest, most valuable one to me? And when it jumps out of the paper, you know the one, you know the bloody one. Write it on that separate piece of paper and then do it one more time. Just look, you've crossed out the 2, you're looking at the remaining 8 or so, and you go, what is the most important thing left for me in that page? And then, obviously, you write it on that other piece of paper. Now you've got the 3. And let's look to see, as you say, well, these are my values, my identity. Do they support me? Because if they don't, we might have to do some value work. But generally, they support you. Look at them and go, do you know what they are? They're rock. They're my rock. And if I could strive to live just by those 3 values alone, the rest will fall into place anyway. They'll come along. But if I could strive to live my life with those top 3 values in it, I'd be following my path. I'd be striving to be the best version of myself, but also everyone could depend on me when I've got those 3 values, and I'm striving to live my values at my identity, and people get the benefit of it. And guess what? I'd feel even better and happy for it. I'd be feeling a bit more joy. And if I don't live to those values, I'd let myself down. And that ain't going to happen. Because If I let myself down, I would let everyone down. And that's not going to happen because I know there's like that twin value. But I'm not going to let myself down because I have inside me this thing that is just me. I can't let myself down. This is what makes me in the world. And if I'm not accountable to me, how can I be accountable to others? It doesn't work, does it? If I let myself down, I let everyone down. I can't let myself down and not let other people down, can I? Of course I can't. And it's really just understanding your values. Because when you understand them, you can make sure your goals, your dreams, are fully intertwined and supported by those values. And you'll see how those values will create the success of that goal, success of that dream, the success of the outcome. So get to know what's most important to you in life. Your life, what's most important. You've got the hierarchy, 1, 2 and 3. There's others, but mould yourself around that. Mould yourself and notice how each of having those would support the different areas of your life. How you can then move through the rest of your life and enhance those particular values you have for those different contexts. That's the way it works. Keep them close. Keep them close. I used to have them on a piece of paper and look at them regularly. I don't need to now because they are here. I know them. And if I know when I'm not performing at my best, I think of my values. I go, not living up to those, am I? I've just let one of those slip a little bit, or I'm not really pushing it. Because it's a foundation, you see. It's a foundation of who you are, your identity. Now, I said this wasn't the longest of the longer podcasts. But I think it's really important. Because when you know who you are, and you can develop them, by the way, because then you start thinking, well, maybe there's something I can improve even more. But you start from that foundation, a rock steady foundation that will support you. And then when you get to help others, you're even, you're building upon those values. You're reinforcing them. It's like you can't love people if you don't love yourself. So you can't be accountable to others if you're not accountable to yourself. But you can't be accountable to yourself if you don't know who you really are. What is the mainstay of who you really are, your identity? Because when we understand our identity and how our beliefs and values just all fit together, boom, everything else comes together. You'll be able to you learn new skills because of those things. You'll be able to use those skills. The behaviours you have are rock solid. And you do them everywhere. I think this is more of a thinking thing. You might want to listen to it again, but just have a little think and go, do I know mine? And if I don't, let's just do that. It takes about 5 minutes. Just set yourself down and go, do you know what? I'm going to find out these bloody values. You'd be surprised how good they are, how strong they are, when you uncover them. Because they're just inside, just a little way inside. And when you and your unconscious mind share this information together, woo, you're buzzing. You're buzzing. Did I make sense? Did it make sense? Did I communicate it in a way that's got you to think a little bit? I hope so. I always hope these things. Because what's the point of doing it? But it's just important. It is important. It's important. One of my values, support you. But I have to get that trust, honesty. And I'll just be there. Okay, that's it. This is a longer podcast, which isn't that long. Something to think about. It's a longer muse, I guess. Enjoy, share with everyone you can, and hit me up on the email, feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com if you want to. I'd love to hear from you. See what your thoughts are. And if there's any help I can give you, I will. So until the next time, my friend, you go fly and have more fun than you can stand. Ta-da.
This is Personal Development Unplugged with Paul Clough.
In simplicity, there is genius.
In simplicity, there is genius.